Good stuff. One more second and I'll be live in just a moment. Good times, everyone. Let's see. Yeah. Yes. This guy. Hold on. Blow this up. There we go. Now we go. Hold on. 3, 2, 1. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. First, today's show is brought to you by, well, it's not brought to you by the following ad. But sort of is, I guess, kind of.
And he's been an unbelievable Lieutenant Governor, Mark Robinson.
For me, there is no compromise on abortion.
I think you're better than Martin Luther King.
We could pass a bill saying you can't have an abortion in North Carolina for any reason.
Abortion in this country, it's about killing a child because you aren't responsible enough to keep your skirt down.
I've been with him a lot. I've gotten to know him, and he's outstanding.
Donald Trump and Mark Robinson. They're both wrong for North Carolina.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to go. I gotta say, chat room, I think she's kind of going easy on the dude. Now, I think that scandal has been escalating, let's say, around Mark Robinson over the last little bit. And, I mean, he's always been kind of a creepy asshole. But now we know that he was like a skeevy, creepy kind of a fella. Doing some nastiness. And again, we here at Hal Sparks Megaworldwide, the greatest live stream in the history of live streams. Also, hit that like, share the show, etc., etc., etc. Patreon.com/Hal Sparks. Tomorrow, Durham, North Carolina, comedy, sexy liberal, awesome stuff. Following weekend, Phoenix. Friday night before Phoenix. Flappers show that is live comedy. I do an hour of stand-up with no preparation that I will put up against any Netflix special. I'm telling you, I do. And I not only do I not prep for those shows, I don't even allow myself. I set strict rules about not writing any jokes before the show for those shows. Partly because I'm using them as a writing exercise, and that's what ultimately these things are for long term. But also that I walk straight up there and whatever's on my mind, that's what we go with. And I'm very proud of that fact. And Patreon people get to watch that show for free and come to that show if they're in the area for free and bring a guest for free. It's just good times. Anyways, so that said, lots of shows coming up. And then, of course, next Wednesday is my birthday. And I would like, if you're looking for something to get me, I would like you to vote on the first day of available early voting. That would be a fantastic gift for me this year. If you just send me a little message that said, I'm voting, the first day of voting is this day, and I'm going to go and that's my gift to you. That would be lovely. If you vote by mail, works too. If you take your mail-in ballot and you walk it in, even better. Even better. Also, somebody's just posting. Hold on. Sorry, this is good stuff. Can we also have a moment? Also, let's see. Do you think Donald Trump is listening to the polls that are telling them that Harris got the bump after the debate, and if there's any question that he lost the debate and was a dangly dingleberry the whole time and wasted everyone's time with his blather and should have probably prepped or thought something through? Maybe policy time. He should have taken some newts. That said, Trump Media and Technology Group. If the stock on it should be the snap poll you need. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you a complete and total loss. That's right. As of today, or earlier last night or whatever, officially, the Trump stock is 100% in the red. It is now below its pre-release asking price. 100% red, ladies and gentlemen. Just like, it is, what a MAGA stock. What more could you ask? The initial price, when they're dropping it in there, somewhere between $17.35, and I think the lowest was like 15. Yeah, it was like, I want to say there was a moment where it was 14 something was the lowest it was. But here's $14.97. That's the lowest I saw it. Once it gets below $14.97, that means the stock is now lower than it ever has been, and so all the ups and downs in it don't matter. It is actually below the lowest point when it was traded, before it was traded on the open market, and it is now, ladies and gentlemen, at $13.55. Yeah, buy the dip, buy the derp, buy the deep state, if you will. Down 2.33 cents today, and 14% in the, $2.33 in the total time, 14% in the past year, in the entirety of it. And look, can I just say here, I know we don't give it the real credit it deserves, but let's look at that slide, baby. Boom. Just a smooth, just, and I like this part, this little jag where people are like, oh, bro, what an opportunity. And then, I know. Look at that's smooth, baby. Hey, come on now. Let me tell you something, all right? Come on, listen up, Sugar Bear. That is a smooth decline, man. That's barely a bump and a ruffle. Come on. All right. That's right, everybody. Come on. All right. Yeah. That smooth little slide. Yeah. It is officially underwater. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for a big round of applause to Argyle for Art of the Deal. You can't go wrong. You can't go wrong. Now, pretty certain, if I may, that Marjorie Taylor Greene bought somewhere around here. Maybe that's why she's having kind of like moments of clarity. Maybe she went, holy shit. Maybe he is a terrible businessman who doesn't know what the fuck he's doing after all. And I had to learn the hard way. So, Trump Media Technology Group hitting $13.55 a share on its absolute collapse. It is now, after hours, it's at $13.76. It has recovered 21 cents. More dips, buying the dip, but not enough to stop the collapse. Also, can I just add one little note about the Trump Media and Technology Group bad stock price? The financials on it, because like I said, this is my favorite non Aquaman trident or something. In case you haven't seen this, the top line is the operating expense, the bottom line is the operating income, and the middle line is the revenue. You'll notice the word profit not factoring into any of it. This is how much it costs to run. This is how much they're making towards operating, and this is the total revenue for the whole thing. You'll notice that, see right here, see like right where that is, way over there. I have to bring it over closer to me so I can point at it. See right there. See where that is. Okay, that's zero. That is. See that blue line, barely above zero. That's zero. That would be Devin Nunes. Everybody, give it up for Devin Nunes. Big round of applause. I gotta say, super amazing, just great. I would like to say, for the record, if I may, that if you are a Patreon supporter and you've been to if you've watched the live comedy shows more than twice, and or been to a live show, you have officially done better than Trump media stockholders have done. Technically, if you didn't lose anything, if you just kind of zeroed it out and gave it because you wanted to, you haven't lost anything. But specifically profit and loss direction, I'm just saying that I'm a better bet. Just saying so. Also, I'm making a positive impact on the world if I do say so my damn self. So, but that's the kind of impact you make when you're the greatest live stream in the history of the world. Don't forget to share the show out, by the way. Hit that like. We're just getting sharded. All right, where to begin? Ladies and gentlemen, there's many places I want to begin, and none of them involve any of the people that are in any of the clips you will see tonight. Let me say that every guest that we will bring on the show tonight as a member of a clip is indeed, on some level, nightmare fuel. With the exception of, I think, Tim Pool, who may just make you giggle in your sleep till you pee the bed, which in and of itself is uncomfortable, but not necessarily frightening. I find him a pitiable figure at, what is he, 38 years old? For real? And that's the best you get? Okay. Anyways, this is Newsmax. Yes, this is the Chiron here is not based on reality any more than the financials of Truth Social. Sorry, Truth Sinkhole. Even deep blue states look to Trump. No, they do not. No, they do not. And you know how I know? Because in dragging for guests on whatever fucking show. This is Rob Schitt's show tonight. His guest, ladies and gentlemen, Kimberly Tinfoil, the woman like Don Jr.'s sloppy thirds at this point, because he's catting about town with some socialite, and Kimberly has been left to hold down the Newsmax fort. Shall we? Join me. Hit that like, share the show, etc., etc., etc.
You be voting Trump or Harris?
Trump. I'm voting for Trump.
I don't know yet. Maybe Trump.
Trump.
Yeah?
Trump.
You can go for Trump.
Trump? Trump.
Yeah?
For Trump, yeah.
Why?
Why? There's no one showing anything on the table right now, only Trump.
Well, are you in a union?
Yes, we are.
Yeah, and the union workers feel that Trump's going to do a better job and look after them more?
Look at the vote on the Teamsters.
You can't do that to me. You can't. I thought she was going to be a guest and I would be able to work my way into it. You can't just spring that on me. Jesus Christ. You know, two can play at that game, lady. Ha! The bath! I put to flam! Okay, listen. Kimberly, you don't need him, girlfriend. Okay? What you need to do, you need to get you some shard of fucking A. And you need to go down to the Caymans or the Virgin Islands, or the ironically named Virgin Islands, I know, with your shard and fucking A, and get your groove back while listening to some T-Swift. If anybody's got some fuck him breakup music, it's T-Swift, baby. You could do this. Okay, let's go. She looks happy, though. I will give her that. She looks very happy.
All right, Kimberly Guilfoyle joins us tonight. Good to have you back on. Our reporter speaking with, the Teamsters here at a Manhattan construction site today.
Yes, and cutting out any of the people who didn't say they were for Harris. Yeah.
Almost every single one of them said they were voting for Trump.
Almost. I saw 100% Trump. Didn't you guys see 100% Trump? I saw 100% Trump. What the fuck are you talking about? Of course I'm voting for Trump. You think I'm going to vote for some bitch? Some woman? What are you, nuts? That's the part. What, are you going to cut this part out? Huh? You going to cut out the part where I'm like, I wouldn't vote for a woman. They're fucking nuts. Like 3 days a month, they're like bananas because she's going to nuke the fucking world when a friend comes to town. Know what I'm saying? You didn't leave that shit in?
which is just amazing to see what the inroads he's made with that community in such a.
What are you talking about? He had 85,000 voters in New York City, and they were all those dudes. It's exactly those dudes. Could you real quick, not a single woman? Not a one. That didn't occur to you?
A short time.
Yeah, I think it's very exciting. And
it's so exciting. Everything's exciting.
It shows you is the pulse of American workers. They are all in on President Trump. And recently, Rob, there was an internal poll that showed Teamsters rank and file preferred Trump over Harris, 59% to 34% in an electronic poll, and 50.
Oh, it's an electronic poll. I think that's what they call Twitter polls, right?
58 to 31 in a phone poll. And I think that's very significant. That is a huge margin of preference for President Trump because he is.
Let me guess, that vote breaks down almost 100% on gender lines.
The people's champion and the champion of the forgotten men and women across this country. We heard it at the RNC convention as well. And
yeah, you're right. I have forgotten about Mike Flynn and Paul Manafort and Roger Stone. I keep forgetting about that.
The reason being is because the vast majority of the rank and file,
I also forget what Kimberly Guilfoyle used to look like when her face had human proportions. What are you talking about? The best is yet to... Hi. I'm fine.
Common sense, hardworking men and women in these.
Yeah, like all the Trumps. That's what I think of. When I think of the Trumps, Mr. Trump, when I think of the Trumps, I think of common sense and hard work. I don't think of borderline flat earthers born with a silver spoon up their ass. No, not at all.
These unions and in this country want President Trump back in the White House. They want that for the economy. They want that for their families, for their jobs, for their future. And quite
so none of them work in infrastructure is what you're saying.
Frankly, historically it is. It's a dramatic shift from past elections where the Teamsters were, truly always taken for granted as a Democratic stronghold. But he's going all in, President.
Okay, simmer down. No. Republicans over the years have gotten them sometimes, and and it would not surprise me at all if there was a sexist slant in the vote in certain groups of Teamsters throughout the country. Simmer down.
And Trump on no taxes on tips, no taxes on
no Teamster gets tipped.
Overtime.
Also, overtime rules are. If they can keep working you, they will keep working you rather than hire more help. The union itself would push back against that kind of idea. It's silly. All right.
He's supporting the unions, and President Trump has been
he's supporting the unions by what? Showing up at a scab shop?
Very clear and definitive that when he is reelected, he will enact pro-worker policies, and he's going to stand with these.
Yeah, when he's elected. I mean, he was before, and he didn't. Sure. Simmer. Yeah. I mean, he was actually elected once. That is a good point. Sorry to bring that up. Yeah.
Hardworking men and women of the Teamsters and all the workers, quite frankly, in this country who are the backbone.
Yeah, and the tariff plan. I mean, obviously,
oh yeah. The tariff plan, where he's planning on having tariffs on everything by a lot. It's a good plan.
Just admitting we have a problem. We have a huge problem with manufacturing.
Yes, I agree. Rob, the first step is admitting you have a problem.
Actually, we have a huge problem with wages. We're going to do something about it. And
what's the problem? Oh, you mean that they're going up? Right. Yes, wages are going up. And so the problem you have, obviously, is that they are going up, and therefore we will turn it around. Gotcha.
Saying that rather than just being, Kamala, Democrats, they've all just acting like it's not there, that it's not an issue.
What are you talking about, asshole? They're like, Biden literally walked a picket line for the first time in presidential history to get union members a better contract so their wages would go up. And Donald Trump showed up at a scab shop with non-union guys holding union workers for Trump. Also, Teamsters, Mob Concrete, New York, blah, blah, blah.
I mean, it just goes.
Also, why is she doing that with her face? Is that natural or something? I just feel like she's got a toothpick mounted in her upper lip.
It goes a long way. And the juxtaposition between these voters, between Kamala and Trump.
Schmidt has no idea what he's talking about. He literally is trying to figure out how to spin this and has no idea. Look at him. This is weird. I gotta say, this normally, he's like in his little angry space and shit like that. I gotta say, this looks like he looked at a poll that is very bad for Trump right before he came on the air, or maybe look, benefit of the doubt. Maybe also there's a monitor right in front of him with her face on it. That is also a possibility too. And he's like, anyway, yeah, there's so much there's all this stuff to look at if I may not,
just acting like it's not there, that it's not an issue. I mean, it goes a long way. And the juxtaposition.
It goes a long way. Sure it does. Yeah, it does. I was thinking about how long does it go? And I was like, it does go a long way. You're right, Rob shit. What?
The position between these voters, between Kamala and Trump is just more and more clear. They have no plan. They just have no plan. And it's very.
Also, the juxtaposition between these voters? You mean the contrast between these voters? Or between the desires of these what the fuck are you talking about? I swear to God, I think he's worried that if you look too much at her face, it has a Medusa-like effect. And he might be right.
Very, very obvious. And from a House hearing this week, I wanted to get your thoughts on this. We had this FCC commissioner, Brendan Carr, speaking.
Sorry, this who?
I wanted to get your thoughts on this. We had this FCC commissioner.
FCC, sure.
Brendan Carr speaking in front of the House, this House committee. And he is just calling out an absurd level of incompetence by Kamala Harris while she was the vice president. Take a listen.
In 2021, Vice President Harris agreed to lead the administration's signature $42 billion.
Oh, yeah, this guy, right.
$1 billion effort to extend internet service to millions of Americans. It's now been 1,039 days since that program was enacted. After all of that time, not one person has been connected to the internet. Not one home, not one business.
First of all, asshole. We dealt with this before. In the infrastructure bill, they're literally laying the federal lines across the states. It is up to the states to pick up from there and then spread them out to other people. Also, lots of businesses have, and lots of different apartment buildings and the like. There have not been in places like Montana, way out in the middle of nowhere, single homes completely separate from a city that haven't gotten it yet for a myriad of goddamn reasons. Some of them rejecting the work anyways. But yeah, here Jasmine Crockett dug into this dickhead. It's silly.
There's almost no real evidence that she was even in the White House for the last 3.5 years. Has she accomplished a single thing?
She's the vice president, stupid. And she was the tie-breaking vote on a couple of pieces of legislation. Dude. Donald Trump was president for 4 years. Besides 1 million dead Americans and the greatest financial collapse since 2008 or indeed 1929, what does he have to show for it? Oh, I know. He even not counting the job loss from COVID, he created fewer jobs than Jimmy Carter, another one-termer. Carter curb stomped his record.
No, she's going to be starring in the new Cable Guy movie because she couldn't even connect one Comcast cable box. Like, what?
Oh dear. Okay. Broadband and cable, not the same thing. Also, if you're going to make a cultural reference, I would go with a better known film. Perhaps one I don't know that's more germane. I don't know which one you would make because I don't know what your point is.
What a failure at the border, failure with the economy, failure with the internet. I cannot, in all honesty, name.
You are literally on the internet connecting with him on his show, which is on the internet.
One accomplishment that this woman has done except advancing her own political career and enriching the swamp. And that is the problem.
Enriching the swamp. Sorry, are you just is it not butch enough to say military industrial complex or something? You're not going to go there, so just enrich. How's she enriching the swamp? I want to hear this one.
You know it's true.
No, I don't. That's why I really want you to explain what enriching the swamp means, especially coming from a catfish in a wig.
It's absolutely outrageous. Although I will say this.
I will say this.
Linguistically, she's a master of a bunch of different dialects because no one
of a munch
never knows what's going to come out of her mouth, which accent. I don't even know. Maybe she can get like a job as like a voiceover person for commercials, but she certainly shouldn't be rewarded with the job as commander in chief. And that is a fact.
Well, yeah, cause never. Okay. Say what you will about Donald Trump, and don't you dare say anything bad. But what can he do? He sure can't pick a vice president. The second time, maybe. I mean, the first one he tried to kill, and the second one is the single most unpopular vice president ever. But you can guarantee one thing. Donald Trump let his VPs run the office of the presidency. No question. He was that glowing look on Mike Pence's face was just because he was enjoying the squishy feeling of having his fist buried so far up Trump's ass he was able to use him like a puppet. And you can't argue with that. That's you know how you pick a running mate. That's how you do it.
Kimberly Guilfoyle, good to see you. Thanks so much.
Oy. No one has ever said that and meant it. Even Gavin Newsom back in the day.
You too.
That's just rough. Good Lord. But that's the entirety of the segment. I think it was just Rob Schitt trying not to look at Kimberly Guilfoyle. I think that was the entirety. Yeah, pretty much the whole thing. Okay, now, there was one more thing. Let me pick up. By the way, hit that like, share the show, etc., etc., etc. Subscribe, everybody, especially on YouTube, you crazies. My God. Okay. Yeah, here it is. Dun, 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 dun.
I wonder how you...
Okay, so, yeah. Oh my God, there's so much good stuff today. Damn it. All right. Yeah. Not that one. Not that one. Hold on. Oh, no. So you guys know that Dinesh D'Souza and his producers got sued over 2,000 mules by a guy they said voted illegally in it, okay? And so they, I guess, I don't know, they put up, I guess they just pulled the movie everywhere. Like, rather than edit the guy out or change they just threw the fucking movie out. Like, baby with the bathwater, out you go, okay? And then, so he's like, we got to come up with another one, obviously. So D'Souza put together a new movie called Vindicating Trump. That's right. Vindicating Trump. Now, maybe Vindictive Trump works better. I don't know. But I got to say, Vindicating Trump, it's a weak title. I'm just going to say. It's a little, I get what they're going for, but it kind of, but it comes out next Friday, and Trump wants you to see it. And he wants you to see it so bad, he did an ad for it. He did an ad for Vindicating Trump for D'Souza. He gave 34 seconds of his time sitting behind his desk in New York at in his old office, where, by the way, this is the cleanest I've ever seen it. Notice all the shit is gone. His desk is clear. This desk is like, they're clearly moving out permanently. He is never coming back to this fucking place. Like, there used to be, this is the famous drawer that has all the Sudafed in it. There was a pile of shit here. It's all gone now. He's just not doing any more work. So they just came in and just said, box it up. Fuck it. So this is Trump. President Trump loves Vindicating Trump in theaters Friday.
My good friend, and I must say a very talented man, Dinesh D'Souza, did a movie that is getting tremendous reviews.
It hasn't come out yet. Nobody's seen it. Doesn't come out till next week. There are no reviews. It's not that kind of movie. It's not getting any reviews any more than there was an audience for your fucking debate. You old fart.
Called Vindicating Trump, and it's opening Friday on the 27th, and I think it's something you should go and see. People are going to love it.
Because it's something very special.
It is something very different and very spectacular.
There you go. Instead of very special, very different and very spectacular.
So I congratulate Dinesh. A lot of our friends are in it. A lot of our great loyal patriots are in it. And
yeah. All the Mike Flynn, Paul Manafort, everybody who's guilty of some sort of sex crime or violence against women or of actual treason. Yeah, great. It's a great cast.
Enjoy.
I said crass because, yeah.
Enjoy it. Most importantly, enjoy it. And frankly, learn from it.
Yeah, enjoy and learn from it if you can.
Vindicating Trump. Have fun. Thank you.
You think, as with
Vindicating Trump, have fun, thank you. Which means, and by the way, when he says have fun, he does this all the time about stuff. But he says have fun, he knows nothing about what it is, and therefore he wants you to do whatever it is, watch the movie, buy the book, do something, have fun, and I think you're gonna love it. It's gonna be very special. It's good stuff, whatever the fuck it is. Nobody knows. Yeah. Now we had, there we go. Yeah, where are they? Here we go. Oh, I got to bring this in. Okay, so this is, there are a few times when we get to have the Flashpoint guys on, and and lately they like Bongholio have been afraid to post shorter clips because of yours truly. They are literally afraid to release small chunks of their show because they know I will go after them. And so they just post their 2 hours, and just call it a fucking day. And I have to say, I feel personally responsible for lowering of their numbers across multiple platforms. Some people don't get the memo or decide that fuck it, it's worth the risk. Like Lanny Walnuts, ladies and gentlemen. Lanny Walnuts, for those of you who don't know, is the single worst prophet working at Copeland Ministries. He has never had any prophecy come even remotely close to true. Like, just not even the vagary. Like, this mother couldn't get, the Lord tells me February will happen after January this year. Like, nothing, even in that broad blather, can't do it. If he said that, there would literally be like, oh, congratulations, it's a jump year. A jump year is one of the few years where February comes before January. He'd be like, fuck! Why, God? Why? So, this is The Witchcraft of Political Imagery by Lanny Walnuts.
No Republican or conservative got persuaded by Kamala. But what was accomplished was she can look presidential, and we'll go to this later. That's the...
Okay.
No Republican or conservative got persuaded by Kamala.
Okay, I think he's talking about the debate here. They don't really set up this at all. Also, he's got the wide toque on today instead of the narrow shortcut toque in this one. And he's wearing one of Glenn Beck's jackets. Read into that what you will. I think they just went camping. No judgment. But he's saying no Republicans or conservatives got persuaded by Harris. Yes, they did. They clearly did.
But what was accomplished was she can look presidential.
For the record, anybody can look presidential standing next to Donald Trump. I gotta say. The only people who can't are his immediate family and anybody he would hire or have in his cabinet, because they're equally, they're right there alongside him. But like everybody else, anybody else, fucking Gary Busey could look presidential standing next to Donald Trump.
And we'll go to this later. That's the seduction of what I would say is witchcraft.
That's the seduction of witchcraft? Okay, so basically you found her attractive and you got a boner, you creep.
That's the manipulation of imagery that creates an impression contrary to the truth.
Oh, you mean like Art of the Deal, or calling your casino like Taj Mahal when you know it will never be financially viable and it's always been a scheme, or starting your own crypto when you don't even know how to fucking spell crypto.
But it seduces you into seeing it. So that spirit, that occult spirit, I believe is operating on her and through her, similar to with Obama.
Oh, I see. So it's a black thing. This motherfucker. Biden wins by 8 million votes, but it's not, there's obviously no occult stuff working through him. He's an old white guy. Right? That's what we're going with? You fucking putz.
There's a kind of an angel of light, charisma. You can see it at the DNC.
That I'm with. And there is an angel of light charisma. By the way, by angel of light, he means Lucifer. Please allow me to introduce myself. I'm a man of wealth and taste. I've been around for long, long years. So many men, so fail. Yeah, the angel of light. Like, just like an asshole. And look, is this motherfucker everywhere? Somebody's coming after my business model. Jesus, Lanny Walnuts. It's the witchcraft of, what's the word? Oh yeah, charisma. She's got this weird satanic thing they call likability. It's obviously the devil at work. Her seductive, complete sentences. Her attractive, well-coiffed hair that's not at all weird and doesn't make you stare. She's obviously got Satan doing her hair so that, unlike Trump, who lets the worst angel, the angel follicle, folliculitis, work thy magic upon his tethered brow. So you just, the demons that fix her hair perfect and then make you stare at his. I'm stared right at his hair. What is that? I'm like, what? I think I see the devil in that. That is the power of the occult, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, it is. You know, Esquilen says it's misogynistic and racist. I agree. I can't decide which has more strength in the argument. Is it more misogynistic than racist, or more racist than misogynistic? Oh, let's just. Why are we even splitting hairs? It's both. It's plenty of fucking both. Good Lord. All right. Now, I like a lot of you. I love a lot of you, but I like a lot of you. Often when I hear that Trump is complaining about lawfare, where he's being attacked, I go, yeah, but didn't he actually commit a couple of these crimes after he left office? Like when he could have just not, like the classified documents case, like that one. If you're not committing a secondary crime, which is, of course, planning on or in the act of selling those secrets to our enemies, then you could just give them back. Right? Thank you, Aaron. Right? Couldn't you? By the way, hit that like, subscribe. And if you're on Facebook, give me a scowl emoji. Frown. Oh. I'm often confused by the fact that he could have just stopped a crimin'. Yeah? And apparently not. And thank God, Megyn Kelly went on the All In podcast, I think is what it was. The All In Summit. So she got to be there in person. In case you don't know, it's like these 4 rich assholes put together this All In podcast that they do. Trump was on there, and that it was one of the most embarrassing podcasts he's ever fucking done. And every single one of them were like grinding their teeth and covered in flop sweat by the end. Like you could just tell they were like, holy fuck, we're backing this guy. And the only upside was he was on the call via Zoom. They weren't in the room with him, right? They were like, at least nobody's got a picture of us together after this shit. Well, obviously Megyn Kelly gets special treatment. So she's at this thing dressed all in white. Goes case by case. She goes case by case on all of these cases, and it only takes her 4 minutes and 10 seconds, everybody. So gather round. This is going to be cleared right the fuck up.
With family members, in the, that are cops, how you look at the other cases, and if you think there's any validity to them. Because there are 5 cases we're talking about. He's guilty of the first 3 so far out of 3. Some of them feel trumped up. But what about the last 2? The documents and the January 6th one, do you think there's any validity to them?
No validity. The only thing that Trump...
no validity to the January 6th case or the documents case. This I can't wait to hear. Okay, apparently, by the way, the other 2, they're giving a wash.
Was potentially in trouble on, and the thing I hit him on when we interviewed was not turning over the documents once he had a subpoena.
Which would have been so easy to do.
Yes, but...
Right, if you're not an asshole or a traitor. That's the 2 things. And if you're an asshole traitor, I got to say, I think, maybe that's Trump's essential problem.
Which was dumb, but he's Trump.
He should have turned him over.
He always does self-destructive stuff.
But that one's gone away now, too, because of...
No, it has not.
Jack Smith not being properly appointed down there. But
No, you can't go, that's gone away because he wasn't properly appointed. That doesn't mean he didn't commit the fucking crime, lady. And they're just going to recuse Judge Cannon and get back on track. There's absolutely every right to have a special counsel. It's just fucking stupid. And again, she's like, you can tell she's turning away from it. She wants to talk to something that he said or whatever, but way to fucking ignore it. And by the way, the rest of these assholes know that. They know better. None of them would think that a case was over if a special counsel was denied in a case they got called up on.
In answer to your question on Judge Merchan, I think he almost is in a position where he might have to sentence him to jail, given how big they've tried to.
And because Alan Weisselberg and Michael Cohen went to jail.
Make it, you stole an election.
What? No. Has nothing to do with a stolen election on that one. That was just fucking run-of-the-mill long-term fraud, dummy.
It would be at a suspended sentence. It would be immediately appealed. And I think Trump on appeal will win. There's so
maybe, But he's going to spend at least 72 hours in fucking jail because they're going to walk him the fuck out of there.
Many holes in that case, so I don't think Trump will ever do one single day in jail.
So, Megyn, if...
Whoa. There were not a bunch of holes in that case. He was found guilty by a jury of 34 fucking counts. There's not holes in the count. There's no reason why he wouldn't get jail time if Alan Weisselberg and Michael Cohen got time. Why is he fucking special? Because he used to be fucking president? Because he told them what to do? They're following his orders. They go to jail, but he gets to walk because that's justice? Get the fuck out of here.
We look at the 5 cases, 6 months from now, or a year from now. Let's assume all 5 of them go to trial. He's guilty of 3 so far.
Wait, what do you mean he's guilty of 3 so far?
Well, he's been convicted of 3, sorry.
What do you mean? No, he hasn't.
I love this. Eugene Carroll was guilty.
That was not a conviction. That was a civil case.
Okay, well, yes, so that's what I'm talking about. So that
okay, but there's a big difference.
It's still he was convicted. He was guilty of that. He got a settlement.
I don't know why you're applauding. He was found an adjudicated rapist in that case. I don't know why anyone celebrates that case at all. And again, you're dunking on this guy explaining that he's been, that he was found liable, not guilty.
In the Trump organization, they're guilty there.
That, again, was still civil, liable.
Yes, of course. But these are the cases we're talking about. And in the third one...
she's a lawyer, right?
Yeah, of course. And in the third one, I'm just talking about...
No, she's not. She's not a practicing lawyer. And certainly not on any of these fucking things. When's the last time she ever worked on any elements of a case? Especially stuff like that involves classified documents. And again, the closest she's come to a case like any of the cases that Trump is up against is the E. Jean Carroll case, where she was in the E. Jean Carroll position when it came to Fox News. That's kind of what is the grossest thing about Megyn Kelly.
At the 5 cases, yes, some are civil, obviously, and some are not. Some are criminal. But if we look at all 5 cases...
You said 3 convictions. Now you're walking it back.
I'm not walking it back. There's 3 in which he was...
You should walk it back.
Okay,
I'm
guys,
so glad Megyn is here.
Of the 5, 3 of them he's either guilty or...
You got a bad result.
Yeah, got a bad result. There are 2 more. If he is found guilty of those 2 more, Megyn, and 5 of 5, he had a bad result. Way to frame it. Will you chalk all 5 up in your mind to 5 different jurisdictions, 5 different prosecutors, 5 different juries and or judges, all conspiring to get him?
100%.
Okay.
Yes.
That's all I wanted to hear your answer to. 5 of 5, 5 different jurisdictions. Yeah. You think it's all lawfare?
E. Jean Carroll, they changed the law so that she could bring a civil lawsuit against him.
Whoa. They changed the law so that victims of rape could bring charges across the board. It has that change. It was affected by Weinstein, Bill Cosby. It's the fact that Trump's a rapist that he found himself in this position. And if he'd have just shut his fucking trap, he could have like paid her off at some point with the original $5 million. Never spoke of her again.
And she did. New York went 87% for Joe Biden. That fix was in right from the start. The fraud trial that Letitia James brought against him has never been brought. There's no victims. The banks who were involved said, we didn't lose a penny. What are we doing?
The reason they didn't lose a penny is because they were engaged in massive money laundering for the Russians. That's why. There's a secondary case where Deutsche Bank has been fined by the United States government for money laundering, and a lot of it had to do with the money that he got from them. They didn't have to get upset about losing money because and by the way, everybody did not get fucking paid back. As a matter of fact, his lender on Trump Tower Chicago had to forgive $240 million worth of loans to him, where he sued them for predatory lending because it wasn't their money. And rather than have the SEC and federal investigators digging around in their fucking books to find out where the money that they loaned him in the first place came from, because he had him over a barrel because they were both engaged in criminality, they just took it as a wash.
doing here. We weren't damaged. Nobody was complaining except Tish James, who ran for office saying, I will get him. Then you have Alvin Bragg, who's a George Soros.
What? And she won. Also, do you think Trump was just an angel the rest of the time? Is there, you might factor in, is there a reason why New York hates this motherfucker? They like gangsters more than they like this dipshit. Largely because he would show up at charities he did not donate to, bully his way onto the fucking stage, and sit on the dais like he was one of their biggest benefactors, eat the food, drink the drink, and then walk out of the fucking place, not contributing at all. And then his dope-ass son steals from St. Jude's. None of the Trumps can run a goddamn charity in the state of New York. What the fuck kind of scumbag do you have to be where you can't be trusted to run a charity? Because they're like, I don't care what the fuck the cause is, these motherfuckers will steal from them. Whoever it is. Kids with cancer, fucking weepy-eyed pets, it doesn't matter. This asshole, whether it's the ASPCA, St. Jude's, or it's fucking veterans, they'll steal from them. No, you can't do it in our state anymore. Oh, and by the way, this is, you want to see the big fucking tell, Megan? You want to see the big fucking tell? Have the Trumps opened up a charity in any other state? Think about that for a fucking second. And think about why nobody's brought this up until I just did. Think about that. New York says you can't do it. We find you guilty of stealing from these other these charities, and you cannot run a charity or work on a charity in the state anymore because we do not trust you not to steal from kids with cancer and veterans and all this stuff. Not ever again. And do the Trumps go, hey, fuck you, that's not what we did. I'm going to move my charity to Florida, or I'm going to move it to fucking Montana. I'm going to run this thing out of Chicago or wherever else I have a property, and you're going to see we're going to raise a ton of money for that. No, they just fucking packed it up and said, fuck them anyways. Zero charity work from that point on, from the whole fucking family. Who does that? Who does that? Who says basically, all right, New York, you caught us, and then we never liked charity in the first place. Fuck them. Right? Is anybody aware of another Trump charity? Did they? I'll tell you this. Not only did they not open another charity in another fucking state to prove New York wrong, nor would another state more than likely allow them to do it. They don't even donate space at his property to raise money for stuff. That this part of the St. Jude's scam was that Eric they'd go, yeah, we're going to do this big donation thing. St. Jude's will run your charity out of our space, but we're going to, the people who donate is going to go to pay for the facility. The Trump properties aren't donating that, the event space that night because it's Eric's fucking charity, which you'd think would be an obvious thing, right? Wouldn't you imagine? What the fuck? Okay, so Eric Trump is going to do this thing for St. Jude's. Allegedly, he gives a shit. Now, we know that he was skimming and it was a big scam, but you'd think at least because he's a Trump and it's the Trump family and the Trump family is billionaires and they own all these properties, that when you hold a St. Jude's event at Bedminster or Mar-a-Lago or any of these fucking golf places, that they would donate, or at least, donate up to cost. Let's say you have to pay your staff. You go, I'm going to pay our staff tonight and we're going to write that off as a charity thing to the charity, right? That would be the absolute top line. We're going to donate the space, we'll pay for the staff, and that will be our donation to the project as well as whatever's raised. How fucking hard would that be? For real. I mean, just the fucking free press alone would be worth more than you could get dollar for dollar. And yet they still wouldn't fucking do it. They still wouldn't fucking do it. They'd still skim right off the top. And this fucking moron who had a similar experience at Fox News that E. Jean Carroll had with Donald Trump, who basically Trump accused her when she dared to talk back of bleeding from her crotch, being on her period, because that's the worth of a woman to this motherfucker. Her thing is, this is all trumped up. Dude never did anything wrong. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Soros-funded prosecutor who doesn't like to prosecute any crime in New York City, where I lived for 17 years.
Bullshit.
Except if your name is Donald Trump. Let's go down to Georgia.
All right, now she's just quoting him. Also, I would like to say that Alan Weisselberg and Michael Cohen also don't have the last name Trump.
Or Fannie Willis and
or the first name Donald.
Nathan Wade couldn't keep their libidos in check long enough to actually bring this case against Donald Trump. It's a repeat of what was happening in January 6th up in the case with Judge Chutkan, who loathes Trump and has sentenced almost every J6 defendant to way more jail time than their counterparts would get.
Their counterparts what? What do you mean counterparts? Other people who beat police officers with flagpoles? Other people who build gallows on public property?
Those are falling apart because of presidential immunity, which was handed down by the Supreme Court, who said you cannot bring a criminal case against a sitting president for any official act. Those cases have been...
Right, and election interference is not an official act. Trying to bend the election to stay in power is not an official act. What he's hoping is that they can... that it has to go through an impeachment process first, so that they have to establish motive through an impeachment process. And if they don't do that, the court's going to assume that you're not even allowed to ask what he was thinking during that period of time. That's why. So that you can't establish motive, therefore you can't establish guilt, which is bullshit, because you can establish motive from the people around him, and the motive is obvious. He's said it ever since. He's trying to stay in power.
And gutted. Also a Supreme Court ruling saying the same on January 6 defendants in general. And that leaves us with Florida and the documents. And Trump has torn that apart because Jack Smith wasn't properly appointed and isn't the right counsel. But there are other issues. They haven't even gotten to presidential immunity there. And so...
You don't have presidential immunity after you're no longer president, dipshit. Even if there was this idea he had the right to take those things when he was president, he doesn't get to keep them. The Presidential Records Act means that he doesn't get to keep them. It was written about fucking Nixon. Jesus Christ.
That one's going nowhere as well. And by the way, they're going to appeal it.
No, it is. It's the worst.
Up to the 11th Circuit. She just threw it out. The 11th Circuit is conservative, and thank God so is the current Supreme Court. They're not going to tolerate that nonsense.
Let me ask you about...
Also, is this an AI-generated audience?
I think... Let me just ask you...
Sorry, I was just overwhelmed by the diversity.
I think Jay Cal just lost his right to ever bring up lawfare again.
That would be the other guy.
With democracy.
Sorry, that was the guy who was asking questions or whatever. Good Lord. Like, talk about being all in for this motherfucker. And Megyn Kelly, of all people, should know better. But seemingly she is incapable of processing just how awful her take on this is. She just literally, and it's super weird. I don't get it. Okay, big story. By the way, hit that like, share the show, etc., etc., etc. Hold on. Maybe I'm like, how old is Tim Pool? Hold on. Because I was shocked. Let's see. How old? Tim Pool, YouTube, born in 1986. Okay. Wikipedia. There we go. Yeah, he's 38 years old. Grown man. Wearing a beanie to work. Okay. So, Tim Pool, who is 38 years old, and childless, if I'm not mistaken. Yes? Wait, 1 second. Let me check. Born in the website, channel, subscribers, totally. Yep. Not married, no kids. Let's see. Yep. Nope. Childless, no kids. So obviously a cat lady or something, right? That's the idea. Is obviously a perfect person to cast aspersions on childless cat ladies, right? There's this story broke of, and is this another one of these horseshit websites that he puts up? Or is this Politico? He's got Politico up. Good. Okay. So he tends to use these like weird websites. We'll see if he always goes to a first one. First one's Washington Post, New York Times, Politico, something like that. And then the second one's this like weird crypto newspaper online zine thing, which is all part of his Tenet Media marching orders, it seems. Okay. So in Politico, there's a story. The FBI says Iran sent hacked Trump info to Biden campaign staffers. They sent it to the news media, a bunch of different places. They tried to hack into the Biden campaign and were unsuccessful, it seems. So they tried to do both, basically just throwing a monkey wrench in the entire system. Yeah. I've seen this shitty music, Frank. I have. It's brutal. Okay, so, but he goes, Iran hacked, all caps, Trump campaign to give Democrats advantage in 2024 election. Trump demands answers. Does he? Does he? Okay, maybe he'll play a clip of Trump demanding answers.
We've got this one from Politico.com. FBI.
I have to say, Tim Pool's reading voice, or his I'm getting ready to read voice, is singularly one of the most annoying things he does. And that's saying a lot, besides always wearing the same hat. Like that beanie is the equivalent. Hey, branding is as branding does. And that beanie will one day go right up there with Woody Allen's glasses and Gary Busey's container of half-eaten chicken McNuggets he brings with him everywhere.
FBI says Iran sent hacked Trump info to Biden campaign staffers.
Yeah, did they request them?
Emails were sent in June and July to individuals associated with the Biden campaign. They say the emails sent to those of the Biden campaign contained an excerpt taken from stolen, non-public material.
Stolen? Oh, that's how you pronounce Stollen. Stolen. All right.
Material from former President Trump's campaign. The Office of the Director of National Intelligence, the FBI, and CISA said in a statement. The Iranians have also continued trying to leak non-public Trump campaign material to media organizations since June, the agency said. The latest disclosure shed new light on the myriad tactics Iran has employed to damage the Trump campaign and how persistent it remains despite U.S. officials calling out its first attempt to leak stolen campaign documents this August.
Yes, by the way, the information he is getting is coming from Politico, which is famously corporate media, and their source is the FBI, who on multiple occasions, Tim has said is a completely untrustworthy source that is trying to destroy Donald Trump and must be defunded. Anyway, sorry, back to him quoting them being quoted by somebody else he says you shouldn't listen to.
Politico first reported on the attempted hack and leak effort that month.
Yes, leak effort that month. Yeah, we can read it too. It's right there.
Clear to what extent the then Biden campaign read or made use of the information the Iranians sent. The three agencies said the emails were unsolicited and campaign staff did not reply to them.
Right. So clearly there's a conspiracy here. Obviously the deep state.
Morgan Finkelstein, a spokesperson
oh dear.
for the campaign of Vice President Kamala Harris, which replaced Biden, said in a statement Wednesday, "We have cooperated with the appropriate law enforcement authorities since we were made aware of the information being sent to the Biden campaign personnel." Whoa. This means that Kamala Harris is a stooge of the Iranians. The Iranians. I was going to say something else there. The Kamala Harris campaign is
how? If there's okay, well, all right. He's obviously just talking out of his ass.
Secretly, wow. Come on. When these companies try to screw with us and lie, cheat, and steal, okay?
These companies, is Iran an LLC, or I'm confused.
I'm not going to blame the Harris campaign for this. Let's not be silly, if you get what I'm trying to say.
I think you're trying to use sarcasm, which is what idiots have instead of a sense of humor.
I'm not aware of any material being sent directly to the campaign. A few individuals were targeted on their personal emails with what looked like a spam or phishing attempt. We condemn in the strongest terms any effort by foreign actors to interfere in U.S. elections, including this unwelcome and unacceptable malicious activity. Carolyn Levitt, Trump's campaign spokesperson, said the development is further proof the Iranians are actively interfering in the election to help Kamala Harris and Joe Biden because they know Trump will restore his tough sanctions and stand against their reign of terror.
Trump loosened the sanctions on Iranian oil and allowed them to sell to South Korea. That's why they had $6 billion in an account in South Korea from that exchange. Because after news broke that Trump had done this, he shut it off because he got caught. And then that money sat in a bank account untouched. And that was the money that was going to be given back to Iran in exchange. It had not been paid out from South Korea. It was going to be paid out to Iran in exchange for the hostages. We got the hostages out, and then we reinstated the sanctions and never gave them the money. So the money still sits in a South Korean bank.
Kamala and Biden must come clean on whether they used the hacked material given to them by the Iranians to hurt Trump. What
is their internal documents about how Trump is going to pick the worst vice president he can possibly find? And they just, how they respond, they just rub their hands together.
Did they know, and when did they know it?
How do you not know what's wrong with Trump? Honestly, what's going to leak from there? This motherfucker doesn't even use email because he doesn't trust the people around him. Seriously, are we seeing some of the videos about J.D. Vance coming out because it was in the review material when they were trying to pick who their VPs might be? And yet all of it's on the internet anyways, and it would take you about 10 minutes on your own. Who the fuck needs Iran's help to go after Trump and J.D. Vance at this point?
During a rally Wednesday night in New York, Trump accused...
what did they know about Trump blathering and boring the fuck out of people at his rallies and people walking out? And when did they know it except when they were watching him do it?
Accused Iran of foreign election interference, but said he was unsure what material the country's hackers sent to his former opponent's campaign. Iran hacked into my campaign. I don't know what the hell they found. I'd like to find out. Couldn't have been too exciting, he said. Politico first reported in August that Trump campaign was the victim of a hack and leak campaign, later tied by federal authorities to the private sector companies private sector companies to Iran.
Yes, two entities that you trust fully. Good. I do too. Look at that. A bridge is being made. I trust the FBI. Federal authorities did a great job. And they're to be, yes, Tim, let's congratulate them together in a moment of bipartisan. No, they're still fucking with them. So maybe nothing was taken. Maybe they hacked it themselves. Maybe it wasn't the Iranians after all.
After Politico was among the media groups that received stolen campaign documents. The FBI has been...
You mean the people that wrote the article you're reading right now?
Tracking this activity, has been in contact with the victims, and will continue to investigate and gather information in order to pursue and disrupt threat actors.
Also, asshole, why are you reading this article? We know what the story is. Get on with it.
Maybe the play itself. Know what I mean by that? The information is not the play. The hacked materials is not the play.
No, the fact that the Trump campaign is so poorly run is the play. Showing that, look how simple it was to hack the dumbasses that work for Donald Trump. Imagine what we could do once they get back into office. Also, we may or may not have just been given this shit.
Iran can easily blast out a bunch of emails claiming they have information, starting a news story where Trump then says they're being helped by Iran. And what happens? Divisions are sown the moment you accuse your political opponents of being funded or fueled or inspired by our enemies.
So the Iranians don't have anything. They're just tricking Trump into accusing Harris of stuff, and Harris is the innocent victim in this. Well, that's a twist.
Sorry, that's just true. So I'm not going to blame Kamala Harris or Joe Biden or Democrats because Iran is trying to screw with us. And I think it's silly when we talk about the Russia situation that...
What Russia situation would that be? Oh, the one where you're being paid by them. Yes, right.
We are fanning the flames of division based off a story that claims Russia is trying to fan the flames of division.
Ah, I see. It's a double where they, it's like a cootie catcher of truth and lies. Mm-hmm.
How about we just say, guys, they're tricking us.
Right, and stop watching your show, I guess. It's a good idea. I like it. So, guys, they're tricking us, and they're starting with Tim Pool. They start, first they came for the sponge-headed dipshits among us, and I said nothing. And then they moved on to the people whose brains were made out of sticks, and I said nothing. And then they came and tried to fuck with my brain, which was made out of bricks, and they couldn't, they huffed and they puffed, and I told them to fuck off.
Okay? Let's keep our political disputes to the American people and stop playing the game they're trying to make us play.
I gotta say, this sounds like something you're trying to bank online for your defense.
Otherwise, I suppose we get the worst.
Otherwise, I suppose we get the worst. Okay, well, yeah. Hey, look, not all sentences have to mean something.
Go from the New Republic. New emails expose election officials' plot to unleash chaos, to swing things in Trump's favor. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Where we're headed.
Is it where we're headed? Sorry, is this suddenly my fault?
Everything is a Trump secret plot. This country is divided, and I don't think it matters if foreign interference is going to be the key to dividing us. We're divided now.
I see. So we shouldn't even pay attention to this Iran story. It may or may not even be true, and even if it is, just because it's not tied to the Harris campaign and they didn't have any involvement in it or whatever, and and I can name my video based after the idea that they did it on purpose and just kind of roll back and kind of couch what I'm saying in bullshit. We shouldn't let Iran divide us just because I can't find some way of pointing the finger at the Harris campaign. And then when evidence is found that Trump's people who are working with him are attempting to fuck with the election, can you really believe anything? I mean, it's just, can't we all just, why are we even reading this stuff? Watch me read it.
I don't see how we come together. They say Republicans are suppressing the vote because they're evil fascists. Whoopi Goldberg says it's not both sides, it's one side. Meanwhile, anti-Trump extremists on the left are trying to kill the president.
Sorry, you mean the independent who voted for Trump and the guy who was registered as a Republican? Both? You mean Vivek Ramaswamy fans?
Well, we presumably on the left.
No, we don't have to presume at all.
Jamie Raskin said Congress must disqualify Trump, predicted civil war conditions in this country. That's right. Quote, so it's going to be up to us on January 6, 2025 to tell the rampaging Trump mob that he's disqualified. Raskin actually said at an event that were Trump to win, Democrats will disqualify him on January 6, 2025.
Tell the rampaging Trump mobs that why would they be? Hold on real quick, stupid. I obviously neither of us has read this article, and it does say far left rep Raskin. So I'm assuming there's a bit of a slant to this article. Why would they be rampaging Trump mobs if he won? Are you saying Tim Pool, that maggots are inherently violent and simple. Well, actually, sure.
They'll just say, we don't care that he won. He's disqualified. We will not certify this election.
Yet again, like, why would they be rampaging? All right.
You don't need Iran. You don't need China or Russia. The Democrats are doing it fine by themselves. They say that January 6th was an insurrection. They want the narrative to be.
But no. I would like to say for the record, I do not believe January 6th was an insurrection. I believe January 6th was a failed insurrection, and that everyone involved was a fucking loser. And thank God for that, or they might have been successful. It might have been an insurrection, but it wasn't, because the people who ran it, from Trump to Giuliani and Roger Stone and Steve Bannon and all that crowd, they were such raging fuck-ups, and none of them have like two brain cells to rub together, that they were incapable of pulling off an insurrection. They were fucking stupid. And again, not an insurrection, a failed insurrection.
That the right is hell-bent on the destruction of this country.
Well, I mean, I think suspending the Constitution and being a dictator and all that kind of shit. And of course, again, Tim doesn't give a fuck about women's rights. He's not in a relationship with one. And is probably, in his goal-setting workbook, he's got die alone written in there as like with a big asterisk next to it, like, go for it.
This video clip making the rounds is actually from earlier in the year.
What can be put into the Constitution can slip away from you very quickly. And the greatest example going on right now before our very eyes is Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, which they're just disappearing with a magic wand, as if it doesn't exist, even though it could not be clearer what it's stating. And so, they want to kick it to Congress, so it's going to be up to us on January 6, 2025, to tell the rampaging Trump mobs that he's disqualified. And then we need bodyguards for everybody in civil war conditions, all because the 9 justices, not all of them, but these justices who have not many cases to look at every year, not that much work to do, a huge staff, great protection, simply do not want to do their job and interpret what the great 14th Amendment means. And I'm glad that Sherilyn's creating her new center so we can bring that.
And there it was.
Yeah, it sounded, I mean, Jesus, there's don't fire until you see the whites of their eyes. Hold, and Jamie Raskin talking about the importance of the 14th Amendment. Yeah, they're all, you cut him off right before he pulls the sword from the stone, though, and says, "Bring me the head of my father."
It's an older video from earlier in the year that went overlooked, only a few thousand views. What are we supposed to do about this? Honest question for those that are watching that want to, comment and share and ask your friends, ask your family. Jamie,
please write something in here. Please make this video actually have some fucking meaning to it, because somehow this show has 1.2 million subscribers and only 60,000 views. Pots. Sorry. It seems out of balance. Is that weird? It seems weird.
Jamie Raskin says Congress must disqualify Trump and predicted civil war conditions. How do we avoid that scenario?
Well, we're planning on voting him out, essentially. Yeah.
I don't think you can.
Yeah, you can. I think we just win the election. Looks like that's the way it's going to go, and he's going to lose again.
It's funny because in my earlier segment, we were talking about the potential for civil war, and you've got this writer saying it can't happen. But forgive me, if I go to the Democrats and say, guys, please, if the American people vote for Trump, Trump needs to be president, they're going to say no.
Yeah, no, that's not exactly what's happening. No. That's not what we're going to say. We're just going to beat him at the ballot box. If you go to Trump and say, if Harris wins, she's going to be president, Trump will say no. And all of his followers will rampage and attack people because they can't believe he lost fair and square like he did last time, and that he lost just like he lost the popular vote the first time he ran.
Raskin is literally saying here that when the rampaging Trump mobs are out,
that he's going to need a bodyguard. He's saying he's going to need a bodyguard. That these assholes who built the gallows on the Capitol lawn last time are going to show up again and try to kill everybody.
They're going to say, sorry, Trump's disqualified. Now let's entertain what that means. There's no reality where Trump loses the election and then they come out and say Trump's disqualified. They just come out and say Trump lost.
I think they were talking about being on the ballot earlier in the year because he led an insurrection and because the Supreme Court, they were talking specifically about making it a matter of constitutional law that somebody leads an insurrection like something like January 6th, automatically they can't be on the ballot anymore. That's what he's talking about, being disqualified back then. And that's the work that they were doing. That's why it's an older video. Now that he's obviously, been through the convention and all that kind of stuff, what he's going to do is just have to lose fair and square again.
They say there was a fair election. It was free and fair. It was the most secure, and Trump lost. If Trump wins, that's when they must move to disqualify him.
No. He's not going to win. And if the idea is that if he wins, there should be a peaceful transfer of power, and he should act like a fucking grown-up. He just won't.
What he is saying is
that that he shouldn't have the right to be on the ballot in the first place because he ran an insurrection. But then when either if he was disqualified or he loses, there's going to be a mob of fucking violent creeps bringing the fucking Confederate flag to the Capitol again.
When it comes to the electoral vote count, the certification on January 6, 2025, he is saying Democrats must block that from happening.
No, he isn't. He's saying that should be a matter of constitutional law, and the Supreme Court ruled on it. And if they're not going to see this and deal with it, then he will go through. That's what he's talking about.
How am I supposed to reconcile the Democrats and simmer things down when they are threatening to overturn the election and remove the duly elected president?
Well, I don't know. My guess would be don't take Charlie Kirk's cut of speech at a bookstore as the entire conversation and what was being discussed. And also take seriously when Trump says he thinks that we're not going to have a country if she wins and it'll be over.
What do you say? Because I guarantee you, you go to Democrats and you ask them and they're going to say they should. Okay? I don't have to tell you.
The disqualification process should have been on the ballot. That's the point. He ran an insurrection. None of us are going to make this argument after the fact, stupid. He's just going to lose.
If we had a clean election, my friends, that was plainly visible, paper ballots, completely and literally secure to the point where you knew for a fact, and Kamala Harris won, I'd be upset. But that'd be it. I'd prep.
Well, good. We will watch for that. I think you're actually going to be loud and angry. That's going to be my guess. And probably there'll be at least a week of it's over.
I'd buy gold, probably.
Well, yeah, you seem stupid.
There's some billionaire who's saying if Kamala wins, buy gold.
Some billionaire? He's good. I like that guy's stuff. I read most of his stuff. It's at somebillionaire.com, right? He doesn't tell you who he really is, obviously, which is a problem.
I'm not giving any financial advice on that one. But when the candidate you like doesn't...
Really? We shouldn't take your financial advice? I don't think we're taking your financial advice. I think we're just listening to some billionaire.
Win, we just try and live our lives and carry on. That's how elections are supposed to work. Even if it is seriously bad, we have to do the work, the cultural work, and try and win next time.
Right. And so you think January 6th last time was bad?
If the election looks, I don't know, let's just call it fishy, then we advocate for proper adjudication.
Like we had last time. Bunch of court cases and recounts and shit, and he still lost.
But that's about it.
That wasn't it last time. That was it. That's what happened last time. 60 court cases, bunch of recounts over and over. Everybody, like Republican governors, Republican secretaries of state, all looking at the vote going, nope, that's the count. That's real. And Trump still got his people together on the fucking lawn and had a march down there, walk down there peacefully and patriotically. But as soon as you get there, you might have to fight or you're not going to have a country left, and you got to be really loud. And we got to show them what strength looks like.
In this regard, they're telling us outright there's no circumstance where Trump wins and they're going to let it run. What's the only outcome? That is going to be chaos.
Or he just loses, I guess. And again, this was about him being on the ballot in the first place, not on January 6th.
The one thing we have to have happen in that case, my friends, Donald Trump must win. Republicans must win in Congress and the Senate.
Okay, so if that doesn't happen, then civil war. Gotcha. Okay, great.
Prevent Congress from being able to pull anything like this off. I'm pretty sure that Congress gets sworn in on January 3rd, and it will be the new Congress then. I could be wrong about this, but I think it's the new Congress.
You're wrong about this.
Then. Actually, let me make sure this is all correct. When does Congress term end? Because I think January 3rd, right? It's not term, it's the session. It's the session of Congress. And it's, they can't tell me, can they? When is the end?
Oh, dear.
Of congressional session. Man, you know what? I'm going to sit here and do the work.
Real quick. Probably doesn't end before they count the electoral votes. Probably, don't, if you just, all right.
When does Congress get sworn in? How about that? Because I'm pretty sure it's January 3rd. January 3rd following each election year. And so I'm pretty sure, just to clarify, does that mean new Congress certifies the 2024 election? And that may not be the case. Yes, the new Congress will be responsible for the election on January 6th, joint session of Congress. This means that Republicans have to win the House. If Democrats gain the majority in the House and Trump...
Yes, that's Marjorie Taylor Greene was in charge of everything. That's exactly how it works.
Somehow wins, however that happens, then they're just going to block him. And they're going to say he's not president. Bye. That'll be weird.
You mean the ones, hold on, the ones that got voted in? So the new House gets voted in. Democrats take over the House. And somehow Democrats take over the House, but Trump still wins. And they have to, all right. This is getting very complicated.
I don't know what to expect after that. So, my friends, I guess I hope you're paying attention. I hope you're preparing for the worst, but hoping for the best.
Jesus Christ. Does Glenn Beck send you, like, successories to read on the air? Oh, God. Was it just me, or was that just painfully devoid of any useful information whatsoever? I failed to see what actually occurred in that entire clip. Anybody? I'm dead serious. Was anything spoken of in a way that even was even the premise of enlightenment on any particular topic or idea, or new information added to the conversation? That I don't know what happened. I don't know what that was. Yeah. Yes. By the way, somebody said, if he's under investigation, why is he still in the air? Because he has every right while you're under investigation to speak all you want. And also, he was supposedly the victim in this, which again, they just had plausible deniability. Let me tell you something. Again, if somebody creates gets a homogenous group of thinkers together, hey, you're all right-wing nut jobs. Cool. I want to pay you guys $100,000 a piece for videos you just crank out that are absolutely meaningless. Take no time at all. Take no homework, no extra work whatsoever. Just slap them out and I'll give you 100K. They don't have to deliver on a product. They don't have to have a certain number of votes or views. None of that shit. I'm just going to give you 100K for every video, sight unseen. What can I do with the money? Well, I would presume you take it to your channel, which is exactly in content like everyone else in this network, and boost it. You can hire publicists, you can hire editors, you can get gear, you can pay your bills with it, you can do anything you want. And all you got to do is crank out a video that it doesn't even have to mean anything. So how is this not money laundering? It is. I mean, except unless, of course, it's a FARA violation, then it's not technically money laundering. I'm paying you for a service. I'm just bank shotting it through bullshit, which is exactly what it was. So, all right. Now, we haven't seen Rusty Trombone in a long time, and with good reason. And this is a double shot because I guess Joe Rogan had Eric Weinstein on his show. Can I show you, okay, never mind the fact that this is a Rusty Trombone channel. Rusty Trombone, he's got his transcript down here, and all this and stuff that was happening. Yeah, here's the transcript. But down here, he sells stuff. This is done with debt relief strategies, and he's on Locals, and then there's a link tree, whatever. So the weirder part, I mean, it's pretty fucking weird, but him selling a particular, these gold and all this shit, just like Jimmy Dore does, just like all these fuckers, they're all in the same network. And again, a bunch of these companies don't really have any business. They don't do any business. They just put ads on all these same fucking people and don't look for a return. It's hinky as shit. Wouldn't you expect, if you're spending your money on a network of individuals and putting your ads across their stuff and having them do live reads and all this stuff, you would want to see a return on it at some point. You'd be able to look at their promo code and go, yeah, we're getting some bump back from that stuff. But they never do. Weird. Anyways, this is Eric Weinstein, who I like. He's one of the intellectual dork web guys who they all seem to think of as a prognosticator. Never quite sure why, except he just looks like everything I've ever heard from him is just borderline paranoia from somebody who's scientifically educated. So maybe that's why they buy it. Anyways, this is Joe Rogan notices something about Trump's latest presidency that you need to hear. The last presidency that you need to hear. His only presidency, you mean?
And we don't know how to look at all of the seemingly democratic things.
Hold on, back up.
That was interference with democracy, and we don't know how to look at all of the seemingly democratic things that have happened since.
Did you get that? That happened that was undemocratic, and there's been seemingly democratic things that have happened since. I suppose the passing of the infrastructure bill and the CHIPS Act, and support for Ukraine, and then Trump killing the border bill, those kind of seemingly democratic things?
How much of what has happened since are the people who took control with that assassination? How much is them continuing to maintain control?
Wait, sorry, who was assassinated?
With a certain amount of democracy, and how much was that an aberration that then returned us to our normal course?
Brett Weinstein.
All right, I don't know. First of all, maybe some context before before I started reading that. I wrote myself a note. I think I know what he's talking about. Were you just trying to make him look like a dumbass? Did you just cut off the top of it so nobody would know what the fuck you're even referencing?
And
what assassination?
Rogan believes that there is a cheat margin when it comes to elections. Surely such a thing can be true. Surely elections are fair and well regulated.
Okay, this would be the low-res sarcasm.
Surely they are free and fair and reliable. Surely we have nothing to fear.
Surely a person accused of 4 rapes wouldn't have the fucking gall to sit in his multi-million-dollar house in front of a fucking stack of wood like he chopped it himself, wearing hippie clothes, running his dumbass little semi-coat around his stand-up, which is not funny. Certainly somebody like that wouldn't dare even try to tell other people how to live their life unless they had the ego of someone like BTK.
2024, surely there will be a peaceful passage of power. Surely what awaits us
transfer of power
on the other side of November 5th is a utopia, a new freedom.
Is he high or drunk? Or is this just what stupid looks like when you're British?
Peace in every direction. Let's have a look at Brett Weinstein and Rogan.
Jesus Christ. Even his own people were like, I don't care. Looks like a shitty edit, but let's just... Enough.
He's talking about the potential cheat margin.
For me, it was the Kennedy assassination. One good book on the Kennedy assassination, I was like, God damn it, they killed the fucking president.
Really? They have film of it.
Freaked me out forever. That was like, I literally...
Wait a minute. You weren't freaked out in your life until you realized he'd been killed before you were born?
Really had a giant shift in how I viewed the world after reading that book, because before that I was never a questioner of whatever was in the news or whatever the narrative was that we were being told about anything.
Well, but
nothing. You never questioned anything until you read a book about the Kennedy assassination in 1993.
I mean, I have exactly the same reaction to that story, and I've been down that rabbit hole, and I think you're just ultimately left with a question. Something happened in 1963.
I agree. Okay, I think that we can agree on. Something happened. Yeah.
That's before either of us were born, right?
Right.
That thing was either an anomaly that robbed the nation of a president, and the nation continued to be a democratic republic in the aftermath of it, or that was interference with democracy, and we don't know how to look at all of the seemingly democratic things that have happened since.
I see. So after the Kennedy assassination, the stepping down of Johnson after he served one term as president, and then the Nixon presidency, followed by Gerald Ford pardoning him, and then finishing out a term of his own, and then Jimmy Carter becoming president, and then Ronald Reagan getting elected for 2 terms, followed by George Bush only getting 1 term, and then Bill Clinton for 2 terms, and then 2 terms of George W. Bush, and then Barack Obama for 2 terms, and then Trump for 1 term, and Biden for 1 term, and then Harris for 2 terms. Everything since the Kennedy assassination has been the machinations of the Illuminati, or as I think Roseanne calls it, the circle. Which is, I gotta, personally, they sound like a bunch of jerks to me. Fuck you, dude.
How much of what has happened since are the people who took control with that assassination? How much is them continuing to maintain control?
I don't know. You mean did they like the solar panels on top of the White House or not? Did they help Reagan make a deal with the Iranians for the hostages so that he could get in, and then guarantee George H.W. Bush in, or and then just go, fuck it, let's have Clinton for 2 rounds since we're controlling everything
with a certain amount of democracy? And how much was that an aberration that then returned us to our normal course? And
yeah, every piece of legislation, they take everybody in the entire Congress and Senate down into a smoke-filled room a mile beneath the Earth's crust and show them pictures from the Zapruder film and go, look, I think you know what this means for the Farm Bill. You hear me, people?
It's a good point. A certain amount of democracy.
A certain amount. There's clearly a certain amount.
Yeah.
Which part? Was Jimmy Carter getting elected, or was George H.W. Bush, the former head of the CIA, who was head of the CIA during the Kennedy assassination, being vice president to Ronald Reagan, a clear intended puppet? Was that the part that was not democratic? And then they were like, fuck this. We don't know quite what we're doing. So let's just take our hands off the wheel. Look, ma, no hands. And Clinton gets in. And then they're like, oh, wait, we need to start our 7-country attack on the Middle East. And we only got 2 of them. Fuck it. Let the black guy be in there. Good Lord.
Well, which is one of the reasons why they're so terrified of Trump. There's a certain amount of the stealing they can do. If
What? No. The dude who loses the popular vote but wins the electoral college is not the dude who slipped by the voice of the fucking people. That isn't the one act of democracy. The one act of democracy isn't the party that never wins the popular vote. And if they were afraid of Donald Trump and they wanted to take him out and there was a big they, them, there later, they would have just released a bunch of shit when he was, because they knew he was playing with the idea in the fucking 90s.
Let's imagine if it is dirty and you really can manipulate elections. How much can you manipulate by? Can you manipulate it by 30%? Because we don't know. And as long
30%. If they can manipulate it by 30%, then whoever's in office is always who they want. If they can manipulate it by 30%, what, are they going to just not do it sometimes? Fuck off.
As long as they can have you believing in the polls, this is what's really important, polls. Kamala Harris is up by 3%. Oh, she's up. She's winning. Like, who the fuck are you talking to? Who are you talking to?
Right. And
you're not talking to me.
What narrative is it in which Kamala has done something that might have caused a surge in her popularity? Like,
her debate against Trump where he said they're eating the dogs, and she presented a plan specifically for home ownership and child care, and presented her judgment to the world, and they went, oh, she seems the sensible person here. Eric, you fucking dork.
I didn't see it.
Well, some magic.
But to your point about...
Some magic. What are you, Lanny Walnuts now, Joe?
How much can they cheat? I call that factor, which none of us can put a number on. Maybe they can.
Right.
I call it...
Well, of course they can. They're the ones cheating, Eric. They can do anything. The they. By the way, I just wanted to reassure you and Joe that you don't seem like paranoid assholes who can't handle your weed at all. I don't want you to think for a second that the rest of us are going, what they, you fucking dickhead? None of us are even concerned with you explaining who this magical fucking they is who puts people in office that are across the political spectrum, that gets shit done and then fails at other times, that somehow passes infrastructure because they want to on a whim when for years they just decided not to because they didn't, because who the fuck? The they, probably the same they that runs everything in the fucking world but can't shoot Trump even with a clear shot. All I'm asking, Eric, is why do you think they suck?
The cheat factor, right? The cheat margin. And one of the things that I'm trying to convince people of is that it's not hopeless because they can cheat, but it means that you have to succeed at a level.
Oh, fuck you. You mean too big to rig, you dumbass? You know who started that shit? Fucking Stacey Abrams.
Level that exceeds their capacity to erase it.
Right, so that's what...
Okay. Nothing you could do could beat a margin of 30 fucking %.
We're talking about. So we're talking about, like, maybe they can cheat by 10%.
Right, and what we know, and I think actually we owe Trump a huge debt of gratitude for proving something that I couldn't have told you if it was true before he won the presidency, which is
apparently the Illuminati did want him to run so that COVID could kill more Americans than anybody else in their plandemic.
Is there still enough democracy left in the system for something to upend the plan? Right? Because he was clearly off narrative.
Right.
And he did become president. So,
sorry. Was Bill Clinton on narrative post 8 years of Reagan and 4 years of George H.W. Bush? Was the narrative after George W. Bush, let the black guy clean it up, Eric? Is that the narrative that was going on there? And also, again, he lost the popular vote. He was put in there by the unevenness of the Electoral College.
So he did something for us that I don't know anybody else who could have done it.
Yeah, it would take a...
Well, yeah, that's because you were upset the black guy won. See, I felt that way when Obama got elected because he was our first black president and he stayed in for 8 years. And he actually accomplished a bunch of shit. Righted the economy, cleaned up after the Bush administration, started the drawdown in Iraq and Afghanistan, did everything he could to kind of, in a measured way, manage this great country for 8 fucking years. Created a situation where 24 million people got insurance, for example. You know, real shit for real human beings, not just a tax cut for billionaires. Fuck off, Eric.
Person with that kind of personality that could withstand that kind of abuse.
Abuse? What do you mean withstand that kind of abuse? He wasn't even running when he was saying Obama wasn't even born here.
Because he didn't freak out at all when they went after him. He was like,
right.
Just...
What? Of course he freaked out. He's a whiny little bitch. He always freaks out. Motherfucker, that's why you said he just lost the debate. The other clip that's going around of Joe Rogan is that Trump clearly lost because all she had to do was flick him and he just spiraled out of control.
Brushed it off like it was nothing.
That's, I suppose, that's what...
I suppose, something other than, obviously, something is going on here. It's an astute point by my dear friend Joe Rogan. Oh... What was I saying?
What I like about Trump, he disrupted it. That is it, isn't it?
Yeah, he's a disruptor. You know what I mean? It's like, I've often thought, you know, when a person is in the hospital and they're in open heart surgery and you've got all these corporate lights on the patient and you've got all these special interest groups like nurses working on them. And you've got this doctor, you know, playing by the rules, you know. And what you really need in there is a sheepdog covered in shit to, you know, to be a bit of a disruptor. Especially when something serious is going on. That's what we need, a disruption.
That's the thing that brings the excitement. Even if there are things you disagree with, even if there are things you don't...
Why the fuck do I want excitement in governance? For real. Why do I need my government to be exciting? I am totally fine with it being fucking boring.
See eye to eye on, even if there are things you think, I'm not sure about that. Is that enough of a change?
Yeah, I don't know if I don't like the whole grab him by a pussy kind of thing, you know. I don't like that he's an adjudicated rapist. But he certainly stirs things up, you know, between the sexes, you know, in a way that, you know, when women are just starting to finally make some headway, here he comes to go, no, you don't, Sally, swank.
Is that the right kind of world? Is that the world we want to inherit? What you have to acknowledge is that person hacked it. He disrupted it. They couldn't.
for no good reason.
Stop him. Yeah, that's pretty exciting. And that's...
Again, you sound excited.
Pretty inspiring. Don't you think that's more likely the reason he's so vehemently demonized rather than any sort of
No. No, because he's a fraud and a pussy-grabbing rapist. That's why. He's fucking gross. He's a liar. Because I don't know if you know this, but in the last 7 years, it's been more than 2 weeks on a bunch of shit. I would rather have a president who knows that 7 years is longer than 2 weeks. You remember the big, beautiful healthcare plan, and we're going to fix it so that everybody has, we're going to, people with pre-existing conditions are going to be really well taken care of, and it's going to be cheaper and better and cleaner and shinier and covered in gold paint. Remember that horse shit? Never happened. You know why? Because he doesn't give a fuck. Because he was too busy golfing. Because the U.S. taxpayer paid 400 years worth of presidential salary paying for the fucking staff and the Secret Service to follow this dickhead around to his own properties while we prop them up.
Inherent malevolence within him. I mean, isn't it impossible to imagine that the technological feudalism that lies at the end of the...
God damn, dude. Maybe some uppers are in order. I don't know. If you're going to use yourself as a chemical yo-yo, don't live stream on the down.
Globalist project, total civilian management, where you're on a program for medication, you're on a program for finance, you're on a program for your every move, that you can be social credit scored into a corner at a moment's notice, and your automatic driverless car would drop you off at the nearest human depository. If you...
Hold on. Are you questioning Elon Musk's motives? Are you saying that driverless cars are part of a globalist agenda to drive you into a fucking pond? Like, I don't know, Elaine Chao's sister on Mitch McConnell's property in Texas, who died in her Tesla because it backed up into the fucking pond they had on the property and she drowned, couldn't get out? Are you saying that there might be something? As a matter of fact, if I may, hold on. There is a... Yeah, there you go. Oh, is this not? So, am I to assume that the paragon of free speech, Elon Musk, one of your buddies who loves Donald Trump, loves him? It's such a good one. Yeah? He's a guy who believes in free speech, freedom of movement, freedom of association. Chechen warlord accuses Elon Musk of remotely disabling his Cybertruck. Remember this guy? Elon Musk gave this guy a Cybertruck and he mounted a gun on it. Ramzan Kadyrov has accused Tesla CEO Elon Musk of remotely disabling his Cybertruck, which has been sent to the front line of Russia's war in Ukraine. He claimed Thursday that the vehicle, which had been outfitted with a machine gun, was performing well in combat, had been shut down, adding Friday that he had sent 2 additional Tesla Cybertrucks to the front line. Chechen warlord known for his loyalty to Putin, blah, blah, blah. Musk, however, firmly denied sending it. Are you seriously so arded that I should donate a Cybertruck to a Russian general? He wrote on X at the time. And then apparently he flipped the switch that made the guy's truck not work anymore. But enjoy your Tesla, everyone. It sounds completely safe. And I'm sure when your voting record is leaked online, that Elon Musk won't send out an algorithm that makes your car speed up into a wall or stop in the middle of high-speed traffic. I'm certain.
Uttered one word out of line with the New World Order's ever-flowing, ongoing...
As the New World Order. Hey, asshole, real quick, before I shut you down because you're boring me. What's the Old World Order? Anybody know? Anybody know what the Old World Order is? If we're going to have a New World Order, there must have been some kind of Old World Order, yes? Yes, what? Yes? Well, a bit of that would be. Let's see what the old world order. Well, it was warring monarchies, theocracies, and autocrats. Yes, yes. Good old warlords and kings and queens and theocracies. Religiously run countries, all fighting for supremacy over increasingly fewer resources. That was the old world order. What would a new world order be then in that case? It would be an alliance of democracies. Sounds terrible to me. Sounds like an awful idea. A new world order? Let's go back to the old world order. But, when we had chattel slavery and the Inquisition. That's right. And whoever had the magic sword could run the fucking joint. Great idea. Yeah, well, take your new world order and shove it up your keister. We like our old world order just like that, I'll tell you what. Yeah. That's what the new world order is. I love the Ministry song myself, and I'm a big fan of conspiracy theory rabbit holes. But let's be honest. Can we at least, when you're saying new world order, can we at least, a new world order would be the opposite of the old world order. So what was that? Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition. Yeah. So, anyways, hold on. Now, do I have time for one more thing? No? I mean, it's just almost out, My goodness, there's so much to cover. And I've got a flight to catch at 10 o'clock tonight, So I've got to get my shit together and go to Durham. Durham, as it were. Let's see. There was one thing I wanted to show you before I go. Let's see. Go to YouTube. And then I've got to go. I don't want to go to that thing. Hold on. I'll go to this. And then, oh dear. This is not live.
They really do. It's an amazing thing, and that's when it really started, and it was incredible. But you have Christians and evangelical Christians. They love Israel so much, and it's great to see that. It's great to see it. If we...
Hey, you know why? Trump, you know why evangelicals love Israel so much? Because for Jesus to come back, all the Jews have to be herded there so that they can all be judged at once when the Lord rides down on a fiery pony and doles out justice to the Jews that didn't believe he was the true Messiah. And that's why they love Israel and really need it to be there. I'm just telling you, that's why they need it. They got to have it.
Continue down our current path with 4 more years of Kamala. And I don't say Harris because when I say Harris, nobody knows who the hell I'm talking about.
Everybody knows who you're talking about. That's why it's the Biden-Harris ticket, Biden-Harris. And
I just said it to another group. Miriam has me working hard here. I have this group, that group, but this is the big one, right, Miriam? This is the big one. But don't worry, I said that to the last group also. No, she's got me working hard. But it's sort of interesting when you look at...
It is sort of interesting.
What we're doing and how important a mission we're on. If we continue down our current path with 4 more years of Kamala, Israel will be faced not just with an attack, but with total annihilation. And I hate to say it so much. It's total annihilation. That's what you're talking about.
Well, I got news for you. That's what the evangelicals want. You know that, right? I can't remember. Is it the Torah? It's the Talmud. And the Talmud's where the rabbis... don't hold back in talking about Christ and Christians. And the evangelicals particularly grind on that shit.
Talking about you don't have a protector. You have a big protector in me. You don't have a protector on the other side. And I've said long and loud, anybody, and especially over the last few years, anybody who's Jewish and loves being Jewish and loves Israel is a fool if they vote for a Democrat.
Oh, so David Cross is fine, I guess? Because he's born Jewish, but he obviously doesn't love being Jewish and love Israel in that regard, and I guess in the way that you're talking about it. So I think he's fine. Okay.
But beyond that, if they love Israel, anybody that votes for a Democrat or Kamala especially, because this is the worst ever. This is the worst you've ever had. This one makes Barack Hussein.
You mean the woman with the Jewish husband? Worst ever? Weird.
Saying Obama look like he loved Israel by comparison.
He certainly did.
But you should.
Sorry, what did he do to hang out Israel? What did anybody caught up on? Did Obama fuck Israel in some way? Wasn't Trump mad because he said Obama was the greatest friend Israel had ever had?
Have your head examined, because it will face an unceasing bloody war to obliterate the Jewish state and drive Jews out of the Holy Land. That's what they want to do. They want to drive Jews out of the Holy Land.
Why? For who?
And they are not forgiving people. You found that out on October 7th. By the way, when Trump was president, you had no problems, did you? None. You had no.
Literally, they got bombed by Hamas every week, all the time. Anyways, he did this earlier. This just running on a live loop. I just saw this when I was coming in. I'm not going to get caught up in this shit. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going down that path. I wanted to find something from my history that I saw earlier before I was grabbing clips. Come here, you. Yeah, this is it. So, yeah, this is relatively short. Carl Higbee interviewed Trump for Newsmax. Now, I don't know why they clipped this the way they did, but they cut off a bunch at the beginning for the clip that they posted, and they cut off a bunch at the end. But this is Trump doing a primetime interview with Carl Higbee Sellers. Branded! Grave danger. Trump warns of world stage volatility under Harris-Biden incompetence. Jesus, they just threw those words up and just whatever order they landed in, they just typed them out.
Russia would not have attacked Ukraine. Think of the different world we'd have right now.
Yeah, well, and I tell you personally, I was in Iraq, never Afghanistan, but it hurt my soul to see this rapid pullout, and they try to blame it on you as, well, you have...
Oh, wait. So, there's been a really weird twist in the post-Afghan mythology, the post-Afghanistan mythology, where Trump has started doing this whole thing about how the Taliban was not living up to their, to the standards of the Doha Treaty, which were ridiculous and silly anyways and whatever. And he can't make up his mind whether we were going to leave at all. And I would argue that, in the keeping of Bagram, and that we should have put more military people in there, that he was literally planning on staying across the board. That's where we're going with this. Listen to this description, because this is some of the most insane, rewriting of history. I don't even know if Higbee knows what the fuck he's talking about. You'll see.
Had a plan. Well, yes, there were metrics to be met. How do you respond to them?
Well, I heard the other day they tried to blame it on me. For a while they didn't because it doesn't play. But we had a great plan, and they understood the plan. But
he means the Doha Agreement.
The plan was subject to doing a lot of different things.
Mm-hmm.
But number one, you don't pull out the military first, okay? They pulled out the military first. You pull out the military last. First, you get your American citizens out. You get some other people that were loyal to us out, not the number of people that they took. But there are people like interpreters and others that were very loyal to us that are probably maybe gone now or in great danger. We just took out thousands and thousands of people. Half of the people we took out were probably terrorists. But
yeah, so the Afghans that we saved, probably terrorists. adorable. Also, the argument seems to be that not only were the Taliban not living up to their side of it, but that the Biden administration wasn't living up to our side of the Doha agreement, which we didn't have an agreement strategically to how we would leave. Basically, the agreement just said, on this date, we're out.
We had a plan, and those people, think of it, because of how badly it was done, 13 dead, many horribly wounded, $85 billion worth of equipment.
Gibberish.
Goes to them. They display it every year at their little parade.
No, they don't. And Carl is looking at him right now going, none of this is true. But I love this man, so I'm all in on this bullshit.
Have a parade where they show the Americans with the equipment.
No, they don't. The Taliban does not have a yearly parade where they have American citizens strapped to tanks and airplanes that we left behind that they show off and beat their chest and are proud. Like, this is just fucking dumb.
Plan was subject to following certain steps, and they didn't follow those steps. And I told my people, nope, it's dead.
See that? Listen to this. But on his way out, so according to him, while he was still president, after the election, before January 20th or whenever this conversation was supposedly had, somewhere between the election and then, nope, they're not living up to the Doha agreement. It's dead. Which meant we're not leaving. That's fucking gigantic. Like, that is, it's insane, but what an admission.
And then they'd follow the steps. And it was phase 2, and they had to follow the steps. They had to follow all of the stuff. They didn't do any of it, and that would mean it was dead. Now then, once we called them on it, because it was subject to, they started doing everything perfectly. It would have been perfect. But these people, they took it over. They had no idea. They just moved. But here's the...
All right, does anybody know what the fuck that was? So apparently, the Taliban was violating the Doha agreement. He says it's dead. Then they start living up to it, I guess, after the 5,000 soldiers were done killing Afghan soldiers as they cascaded across the entire fucking country.
The thing, you have to move the military out last, because once the military moved out, it was a disaster. And then they had that lift, that so-called airlift that was so horrible. That's where we lost our 13 young soldiers.
By the way, no, we didn't. They were killed guarding the civilian side of the Afghans that were leaving.
But a lot of people so horrifically wounded. You know, Carl, they never talk about that. They never.
You talk about it all the time, and you can't name a fucking one of them.
Never like to talk about no arms, no legs, the face just wiped out. They talk about the 13 dead, and of course we shouldn't. I got to know those families. They're incredible people. But they never talk about soldiers that lost a leg or both legs or both arms, right, or a soldier that lost 2 arms and 2 legs.
What the, or 1 hand and half a foot and then an ear, and then they don't talk about, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Is otherwise very badly wounded beyond that with the face.
Seriously. Like, this is his thing. Like, he doesn't even want to go in and talk to these folks. He doesn't like to meet with, like, people who are, I mean, he wouldn't even, like, shake hands with that, like, Sam Johnson or whatever, the Nevada Republican who's running, who's a burn victim. Like, he skipped shaking hands with the dude at the RNC. Because he just, like, he's grossed out by it. This is him being grossed out about it. It's not him caring.
And nobody ever talks about that. And it's so horrible what that was. That was such a, I think it was the most embarrassing day in the history of our country.
All right, why embarrassing?
I would.
Because he has, I'll tell you why he says embarrassing. Because he can't feel shame, but he can be embarrassed. So he translates that outward. He doesn't. Shame means you're aware of your shortcomings. Embarrassed means people saw you for who you were, and so that's why that word triggers him.
I would agree, sir. The other thing you didn't mention, Kim Jong-un. All right, this is someone who hasn't gotten a lot of attention recently, but you know.
Oh yeah, the guy who rapes myriads of concubines, starves his own people, kills people for not smiling enough. Great dude.
In your book, you talk about he had an opportunity like no other to be remembered as the leader who ushered in a glorious new era of security and prosperity.
Glorious?
For his people.
Jesus Christ. Did the North Korean press write this for you?
People don't give you credit for crossing that line and going into that country and having a conversation with him.
You mean recognizing that asshole who killed his way to the top? Why? What did he do? It didn't slow down his military. It didn't slow down him building missiles.
Well, I did, and I got along with him great.
Right, because you both feel the same way about women.
And he liked...
Yes, Stargal kills people for not smiling enough. And you ever see the North Korean parades and all that kind of shit where people have to congratulate him on his fucking birthday and all that stuff, all the videos that they show of how much the people love him? They kill some of the people who don't smile convincing enough.
To me, and I must tell you, I got along with him great. I can't say, if I'd say I like him, the press would say, oh, he liked Kim Jong-un. I got along with him great. I understood him.
Well, that's how you get things done.
By the way, tough guy.
What'd he get done? Carl, what did he get done? What changed?
Guy, smart guy, and we were not in danger. You know, when I took over, I sat with President Obama.
Hey, asshole. Carl, you just pointed out that we haven't heard from that guy in a while. Right? There hasn't been a lot of saber rattling. There hasn't been a lot of rockets launched or any of that kind of shit. And it didn't take Biden kissing his ass. We heard a lot more from him when this asshole was basically his press agent. Holy fuck. MS-13, they basically hired John Barron to be their PR rep.
And which is a tradition, as you know. You sit sometimes for 10 minutes and sometimes for a long time. I sat with him a long time, actually. And I said, what's the greatest problem? He said, North Korea. That's Kim Jong-un. And I said, have you spoken to him? Have you talked to him? No. Have you called him? And, I guess they were a little bit vague on that. The answer is they tried calling. He wouldn't talk to the Americans. He wouldn't talk to them.
Bullshit.
But he talked to me. And
also, no, there was never a situation where we were calling Kim Jong-un and he wasn't returning our fucking phone call. Not ever. You absolute asshole.
We had meetings. We had 2 meetings. And I will tell you, it was amazing. We became, let's put it this way, we were not in danger. And South Korea was not in danger. Now South Korea is in great danger. And he has a tremendous nuclear stockpile. And he doesn't like the people in this. He doesn't like our leaders at all. He says it very...
Yes, and he's flinging garbage over the DMZ.
Openly. He's very plain-spoken in that sense. He says it very openly.
So what? I don't want him to like our leaders. If he does, something's fucked up.
But we had a very good relationship. I had a great relationship with Putin. Putin would never have done what he did without me there. In fact, they started lining up at the border after...
Sorry, without you there?
After I left, and I said, he must be doing that for purposes of negotiation.
Right, you're an idiot. He wasn't. He was planning on attacking. What was the negotiation? They made no offer to do anything. What was the negotiation? We only want to take a little more of your country, but let us kill a bunch of women and children first, otherwise my people will think I'm a wuss.
Good negotiator.
Did he say sock piles? Is that what happened? Hold on, 1 second. Hi. Okay, hold on 1 moment. Talk amongst yourselves.
That Rachel shows on at 6.
Okay, yeah, the Vindman thing?
I'm recording it.
Oh, great. Okay. Summer's got to go to the show, and then I got to Uber to the... we're going to miss each other just as we're coming through, so excuse me. A little bit of lipstick on myself. It's okay. It's my color. It's fine. All right. Anyways, back to where we were for this last little bit.
And I think he was. And then he got... I will say this. Biden said the worst things. He said the exact opposite of what he should have said.
Which was what?
But I believe Putin lined up at the border to negotiate. And
that's because you're an idiot.
He ended up in a war that's so bad for everybody.
Sorry, He lined up at the border to negotiate, and when he didn't get what he wanted, he launched a full-scale attack on Ukraine, including bombing the capital and Lviv, which is like fucking, firing like from the east coast of the United States, towards Los Angeles. So,
and it could lead to World War III.
All right, yeah, well, then maybe he made a bad decision. Talk to your fucking friend and tell him to knock it off.
This group of leaders, the same people that did Afghanistan, do you know, we said,
hey, asshole, they didn't do Afghanistan. They ended Afghanistan. You did Afghanistan. You ran on getting us out and never did. And we now know, according to the beginning of this interview, you never intended to.
Afghanistan was bad. You'd know this better than anybody because you were such a big military guy and hero. The Afghanistan situation, Milley should have been fired. Everybody that even touched it or smelled it should be fired.
Smelled it? Smelled it. Everybody that touched it or smelled it should be fired. Feels like you're telling us you just fired Laura Loomer.
He didn't fire anybody. And we have the same people dealing with Russia and nuclear weapons right now as we had in Afghanistan.
Out of Afghanistan. And yes, we do. And so far, nothing from North Korea towards us. Russia's just doing the same whinging they did around Chechnya and Georgia. They're getting their ass kicked. Let's see, what else?
The most embarrassing moment, I think, in the history of our country. So hopefully we're going to win the election. We're going to get it all changed. I'll get that war settled.
Sorry, get it all changed? What, are we going back into Afghanistan?
Before I even become president. I will get it settled while I'm president-elect. And the Middle East, we did the Abraham Accords.
Yes, the greatest peace treaty between countries that weren't actually fighting.
We did so many things. The capital, we had Jerusalem declared capital because we moved our embassy into Jerusalem.
Yes, that's why Yahweh Sinwar said they started planning October 7th when you did that.
Not only moved it, we got it built. I got it built in a very rapid fashion.
Right, so it's easy to spy on.
I spent $500,000 building the embassy. I said, find a building. They were going to spend hundreds of millions of dollars to purchase a piece of land that wasn't as good as land we already owned.
Yeah.
I said, let me ask you a question. Do we own land? Yes. Where? They said, we'll report back. They come back 2 days later. They say, we own a piece here, best location, because we were there early, we were there very early. Yeah. We had the best location. Said, is there a building on it? Yes. Is it a good building structurally? Yes. I said, let's have fun. Let's build an embassy for peanuts. We built it.
And that's right about the time you were laughing with Lavrov and the other dude who's now dead in the Oval Office. And then a few weeks later, some of our Israeli agents died.
For $500,000, think of that. Using Jerusalem stone, because there are plenty. It's a very expensive stone outside of the United States. I mean, you have to.
Well, if your tariffs go through.
See this. One of the most expensive stones, but in Jerusalem, not expensive. I said, let's use Jerusalem stone. And what happened is we ended up building it. They would have spent $2 billion. They were planning on spending $2 billion to build an embassy in Jerusalem.
Gee, I don't know why you would want to spend a lot of money fortifying a building in Israel. It's not as if the place is constantly under attack. You know what? Fuck our ambassador and everybody who works with him, I guess. What do I know?
I built it for almost nothing. Nobody talks about it, but that's okay. And it's actually a gorgeous embassy. If you spent $2 billion, it wouldn't be as nice as the one you have right now. Mm-hmm. But we had the land for free. We did some renovation and some of an existing building, which was a very good building that wasn't being used. Right. And it was sort of a great thing. We did a lot for Israel, I can tell you that. Yeah. And by the way, Israel...
yeah, sure. I don't know what, but...
...was in very grave danger.
Okay, so that's the
omniscient edict.
Oh,
Man.
shut up! I gotta turn this on, and then there's more. There's got to be more. Is there more of this bullshit? There's got to be. Higby, is it? I thought I saw a clip of one available at the very end, you know. Yeah.
Sort of a great thing.
Yeah, this is it.
Well, I want to talk about your new book. Already.
Okay, so this, by the way, this is how they all get him. He's selling his Save America picture book. Anything to not have to do any writing. They basically just take bits of speeches and stuff and then transcribe them and put them in the book. And he handwrites a note like, "This is what happened to me on this day," and then they sell it.
Already a New York Times bestseller, Save America.
I am actually concerned about the environment, Trump. Okay, why do you say so? I believe it.
It's your third book since leaving office. It talks about your time in the Oval Office, after the Oval Office, up to and including this assassination attempt, the first assassination attempt, I'm sorry to say. The cover obviously features that iconic photo. You wrote in there about you knew you were in big trouble, but there was blood pouring down your face everywhere, and yet you said you felt very safe because God is on my side.
Yeah. No, he felt very safe because there were 9 people wearing bulletproof vests on a dog pile on top of him who were literally paid by the taxpayer to take a bullet so he doesn't.
Well,
and also because we arranged the whole thing and it was all... No, okay.
And maybe even feel that more now. And somebody...
Yeah, probably. Yeah, you're close. Yeah, closer, my lord, to thee.
Said the other day, but a lot of people say it, that it was really God that saved me because he wants me to save the country. The country.
That's right. And he's like, and he's like, if it costs me a firefighter, that's how I'm going to do it. Now, I could have saved him by the guy's car crashing on his way there, I guess. But where's the fun in that?
Is going so bad with everything that's happening.
Yeah, everything so bad, especially the stock market. Obviously, you know, Truth Social's killing it, but
between inflation that's ruining people, it's ruining people. It's killing our senior citizens, and
it is. They're just dying. Not as much as your mismanagement of COVID, but okay.
And a lot of other people too, but
yeah, mostly the old people. You know, now obviously it's mitigated by their the cap on the cost of their medications and $35 insulin.
You have the war with Ukraine and Russia that's going to end up in World War III with these people because they don't know what they're doing. You just take a look at Afghanistan, how badly that was handled. So,
terrible, terrible. We should still be there.
I mean, you're a military guy. That was handled. That's the worst thing probably you've ever witnessed.
Fuck me. Did he just talk about this the whole goddamn time? Rob Glenn sent me something, and I see you and feel you, my friend.
I've never seen such incompetence because of that.
Oh, you mean in your cabinet stuff? You mean all you're not doing any of the prep work for the deal you created, and you were going to scrap the whole Doha agreement we now know because you're a lying piece of shit?
Putin went in, but Putin would have never gone in with me anyway. But because of that, Putin went in. And then you look at what's happening now in the Middle East with Israel and all of this. Think of it.
Yeah, so let me get this straight. Putin saw us leaving Afghanistan and went, now that the United States isn't blowing hundreds of millions of dollars a week in Afghanistan, it's the perfect time to attack an ally of theirs and a friendly country to Europe, because America now has all this excess money from the DOD that they would be spending in Afghanistan that they could give to a country like Ukraine. Perfect fucking timing. So I think now's the time to go in. And boy, was I right. 700,000 dead Russians later, Russia just got invaded by the country it invaded. Brilliant. So obviously Putin took a bad cue. I gotta say, he saw what happened in Afghanistan. He was like, now's my chance. Turned out not quite. Also, Hamas apparently seeing the exact same thing and getting instructions from Iran, from Russia via Iran, to do October 7th. They decide to do this, murder a bunch of people, rape women, drag their dead bodies naked through the streets as people spit on them and all that kind of stuff, because now's the perfect time. And Lord knows they're on the winning side of that exchange, wouldn't you say? We're almost a year from October 7th now. How well is Gaza doing thanks to these assholes who went, Russia's right, we should just attack, now's our chance? Do you think it ever occurs to this asshole when he's saying these things that strategically both of these groups, the Russians and Hamas, made a terrible fucking decision? That they saw whatever they saw in Afghanistan, which turned out to be the opposite of what they thought they saw. And both of them have just reaped the fucking whirlwind. None of it went how they thought it was going to work. All of it has been fucking terrible. Right? Why would you go, Putin was just fucking around, and then he was like, oh, well, this is going to be easy. Jesus. We're almost done, and then I'm going to send you over to the major.
If I were president, none of it would have happened, Carl.
Yeah, because he would have just given it to him. And also, Yahweh Sinwar said specifically that your policy towards Israel and your blatantness about it is why Hamas decided to do this attack.
None of it. No inflation, no war.
If you didn't have inflation, that means your economy was collapsing.
Or in the Middle East, they would not have attacked Israel.
There was war in the Middle East the entirety of his presidency.
They weren't in a position to do it. They never would have been.
Also, how much money do you think the fucking October 7th attack costs? For real. Hamas's bombs are made out of fucking fertilizer and sugar and shit. And the casings are water pipes put there by us and our allies and Israel. They dig them up and make bombs. And then just like loose rockets. They don't give a fuck where they land. They just fire them, hoping some of them will get through the Iron Dome. They don't give a shit.
And Russia would not have attacked Ukraine. Think of the different world we'd have right now.
Okay, so
surely
that leans into what he was saying in the beginning of that. So, all right. No one, I think I can say unequivocally, my lovelies, that no one needs any more of that shit from that dude. So I got to go pack, and then I got to catch a plane tonight to go to Durham, where I get to take a red eye, get there at 7 o'clock in the morning, take that, I guess, an Uber to the hotel, which hopefully they've already checked me in for tonight, because I have to get the hotel the night before, because it's got to be ready when I get there so that I can do radio when I'm bagged out as shit. So wish me luck. Then I get to nap for about 2 hours, and then I get to do sound check, and then I nap for 2 more hours, and then I do a show, and then I adrenalized because of the show. We do the meet and grope, and then after that I go to sleep, and I get up and go to the airport at like 5 o'clock in the morning and catch a 7 a.m. flight back home. So, the next 31 hours, insanity. But, it's a thing. Also, next Tuesday, Linda Carter is putting together this thing, Geeks and Nerds for Harris, and I am a part of it. So we're going to be doing a little I Love the 1870s segment about the Comstock Act, and also, I don't know if you know this, but pedestrian racing. Like speed walking is now in the Olympics. Do you think that's new? It's not. In the 1870s, at the same time we had the Comstock Act come into play, pedestrian races were a big deal. People walking places. And they would walk for 6 days straight until you keeled over. That's true. Till you just passed out. Anybody was still awake after 6 days of walking, 6 days straight. And you know why they did 6 days? Because on the seventh day the Lord rested. That's true. Go look up the pictures. It's hilarious. The pictures of people in like their bathing costumes because they get all sweaty, walking in Madison Square Garden in a dirt circle. So I love the 1870s for that. And then of course next Wednesday is my birthday, and then following Friday is Flappers, and the following Saturday is Phoenix. Very exciting couple of weeks. Phew! And then Kansas City after that, like 2 weeks later. Man. Oh, Shevitz. I adore you. Take care of yourselves and take care of somebody else. And thank you guys. Look at the crowd we got in here. It's huge. That's because this is the greatest live stream that has ever existed. And I'm Hal Sparks, the most Hal Sparks person you've ever seen Hal Sparks in your old Hal Sparks in life. It's true. Oh, and because, I don't even know that I'll be able to do it while we're there. I feel like we should at least pay some level of tribute to the kidney while we're here.
The kidney has a very special place in the heart.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, look, you could argue, but why?